Hello, I'm Lindley Gooden. Welcome back to the second installment of Future of Utilities, the online series. Great to have you with us today again. Now, in our third and final session today, we're focusing on technologies that could enable better decision-making and transform incident response where you are. And we have an hour to do it. First up, we're very lucky to have a presentation from Ashish Silodia, the Chief Operating Officer at Vintelligence. Ashish will be looking at how we can combine the power of human intelligence and AI to improve incident response. He'll be with you in 60 seconds' time.
Hi everybody, my name is Ashish Silodia. I'm Chief Operating Officer for Vintelligence. And before I start, actually, I would like to thank all the essential and key workers. We have been living in some very, very unprecedented times. And to keep us all safe and to keep us productive, I mean, we are doing this whole conference online, so to keep us productive, I cannot thank enough to all the essential workers, and a lot of people who have joined are working very, very closely with those. So please pass my gratitude to all of them. Also, thank you for having me on such a great platform. I'm super excited. I'm excited to share my thought process around technology, around human intelligence and video AI. But I'm also very excited to learn some new things, some new perspectives, right? The topic which I will be discussing today is how can we improve incident response. This amazing panel right after me, which is looking at all the technologies from drones, sensors, digital twins, etc., to drive incident response. I would like to take a slightly different angle to this, the angle of where we can combine human intelligence and AI to bring better data and better decision making. Let's take a step back. Right? Let's start with end in mind. When we talk about incident response, at the end of the day, the end in mind, the end outcome which we are looking for is less incidents and less fatalities. And that's the goal, right? Now, to achieve this goal, we can do lots and lots of different things. We can, starting from awareness, ability to capture the information or capture the incident report as it's called, faster response, audit of the work, etc. And by the way, UK has done quite amazing, because I was looking at this data and UK ranks at the top across all the European countries in health and safety score. So a lot of hard work has already been gone in, and we have seen a lot of good outcomes. So what I want to do is maybe use a framework where we start with the culture. We talk about the culture of how we can build this in our DNA to be safe, to keep ourselves safe, to keep our colleagues safe, to keep our customers and communities safe. Then I'll like to get into how can we leverage the technology to build a process so that everybody can, this frictionless process to keep everybody safe, to reinforce this culture. The final piece of the puzzle in my mind is closing the loop. How can we reinforce the good messages, right messages, the outcomes, so that people see the outcome of all the effort which they are putting in, and hence reinforcing the good habit. So that's basically the culture, the framework which I would like to use. And all these in this day and age is supported by data. And going forward, even today, by artificial intelligence. So let's start with the culture bit. And the big question is, how do you build a culture? How do you build a safety first culture, right? And there are ways, and companies are doing some amazing work around it. Some of the things are around role modeling. So senior executives taking it very, very seriously, talking about the safety first all the time, builds this organizational thought process. It comes with reward, right? Rewarding the people to do the right things, or not penalizing. Same side of, like other side of the story. And then also sharing the success stories of what have been achieved in this area, right? I was recently talking to this very, very senior executive at one of our customers called NG, like big utility company, and health and safety is paramount for them. And what he was talking about is they are trying to create a culture of no blame, or no blame culture as they call it. This is very important. When the incidents happen, it's not the time to finger point. It's never the time to finger point. So to build this culture, to foster this culture is super important. To build, give the, as they call it, psychological safety for everybody to do the right things. Second, let's say as an organization you have built the culture. You are doing all the right things, you are role modeling it, you are rewarding the people and everything. But you still need another piece of the puzzle, which is the frictionless process, right? Lot of good efforts, good thought process, good initiatives die down because of so much friction in the process itself, right? So let me talk about what in my mind is frictionless, right? The best example of being frictionless is iPhone, right? And again, I'm taking you back to 2007. It's just a decade back. um, iPhone has put computing power in the hand of everybody without any training, any change management, to a point where my 4-year-old son can use the iPhone, and he has been using it since he was 2. So before even he learned the alphabets or the numbers, he can dig into the computing power of this amazing computer and do what he wants to do. Maybe watch an app, watch a video, whatever it is, right? That is frictionless technology, right? Another great example of frictionless technology for me, and personally I'm a big fan of it, is Amazon returns, right? So yes, e-commerce came and everybody's buying the things, and then return was so painful. Even before e-commerce, return was so painful. You have to go stand in a line, take a receipt, prove this thing, that thing, blah, blah, blah. Now, what Amazon realized is they need to make all their processes frictionless. So now I recently returned something, and somebody came to my doorstep to pick up the stuff. So not only they ship the stuff to doorstep, somebody can actually pick it up or go to the local store. Shipping is paid, stores is accessible. So amazing, amazing frictionless process. So coming back to health and safety, or coming back to incident reporting, we need to think about how do we make this process frictionless, right? And when I look at around my customers or the prospects and the people I talk to, or a lot of these companies I talk to, I still find an archaic process or archaic technology, which is called paper, and there's a massive form, 50 point, 100 point form, right, to capture this information. And this is where the good intention can die. The next step forward is digital, which is the same form in a Google format, or an app which is still asking those 50 to 100 questions. I was trying to because I was in this mode of health and safety and looking around things, I was trying to go to this government website to report an incident, and there's 6 pages of form. I gave up after page number 2, right? It's just so much information, right? And so much information in such a prescriptive way that puts too much friction, right? So we need to come up with a technology and a process which is frictionless. And then the third important piece, or the missing piece of the puzzle, is closing the loop. Not only closing the loop with quick response, so when something is reported, we need to respond very, very quickly, but also to close the loop by getting it right the first time and reporting back to the person who has raised the alert, who has raised the incident. Now that closing the loop is very important because people need to see the good outcome coming from their action. Once you start seeing that outcome coming back, that feedback loop closing, that's when people want to do it more and more. And that's where the snowball effect happens and the culture is built, right? So to summarize, we need to think about culture, we need to think about the process and technology, a frictionless process and technology, and we need to think about closing the loop. Now, I would like to walk through a couple of customer stories to bring this to life. But before going there, I'll take a slight detour of talking about how we at Intelligence are doing our bit to make this a reality. So at Intelligence, what we are doing is we are effectively, let's call it a 4-step process, which we execute within the first 8 to 10 weeks to move from paper forms, as you can see on the left side, which is number 1, all the way to AI-based predictions, which is on the number 4, right? And the way we do it is the following. Step 1, first we do simplification. We take all the existing content, all the existing forms, paper forms, digital form, or the media associated photographs in this case, right? And recreate the health and safety process, or reimagine the process, not recreate, reimagine the process using a video technology. So what we take away all these paper forms and photographs and create a video app or video technology, which is a prompted video, which will give you directions of what you're supposed to do. So you don't have to remember what you have to do. Now, point and shoot is such a simple and frictionless technology that even my kids can make movies. They actually make movies on my phone all the time, right? So we are moving back to the human behavior of typing voice to video, and video is where we are all very natural with, because it's show and tell. That's the simplification part. Once somebody get this amazing technology on their phone and they are trying to make a video of, let's say, health and safety, the next thing which we do is start annotating and labeling the videos. This is a very important piece of the puzzle to drive outcomes using the AI in the backend. By annotating, what we are doing is we take this video content, digital data, which is produced by people in the field, and start putting labels around it about the important things, or as they call in computer science, metadata around the video. This metadata basically makes the video searchable. So there are two things which it does. Number one is it makes it searchable. Now, searching through a video is one of the top 3 hardest computer science problem which we are trying to solve. You have a video of, let's say, 10 minutes, or you might have my video of 20 minutes, and you might find 2 minutes very, very relevant and important for you. You just don't know which 2 minutes. So you have to sit through the whole video of 20 minutes, and maybe those 22 minutes are right at the back end. So you just lost 18 minutes, right? Which is a reality. I've seen a lot of keynotes where I want to just go to the crux of it. I just can't. I can't search the video. What we are doing is making these videos searchable through these keywords as you see over here, right? So this is what we have labeled the video with. So if you click on, there's a label called water mains, or it says road marks or overhead cable. So once you click on overhead cable, and in this photo somebody has clicked overhead cable, the video brings me to the frame where the overhead cable has been talked about, has been shown. So looking at these keywords, you can automatically quickly parse the video, go to the right point of the video and get the relevant information, right? So that's the searchability of the video to make it this content even more useful. The third step is we take all these label which we have done on the video and put it in a machine learning model, a categorization model. So what we are trying to categorize is what kind of job is this, how difficult the job is, what is the risk involved with the job, so on and so forth, right? Once we have created this categorization model, which is at number 3, then we can drive, or then the machine can start giving you predictions or smart alerts around job complexity. This is very complex job versus simple job, and this machine is done parsing the data in the video. Or here, this is job which requires going to a different agency and having safety lights there, or traffic lights there, so on and so forth. So within 10 weeks, what we go is take a process which is paper or Google form based all the way to smart predictions, right? Leveraging a very, very simple technology, which is a video technology, putting a big flavor of AI on the top. So that's what we do. Yeah. Now let me walk you through 2 or 3, in this case actually 3 customer case studies to bring this to life, to see what use cases, what problems can we solve using this, right? The first one I want to talk to you about is customers, giving this technology in the hand of the customers for them to report issues. This is something which I am very proud of personally. And the reason I'm proud of this is because this is our contribution. This is intelligence contribution to the current crisis, the COVID crisis, to keep the frontline staff safe. So let's talk about the challenge. So the challenge, and this water utility company in UK came up with the challenge, and they were existing customers, so they knew our technology already. So they came up with a challenge saying that in this current COVID times, this was back in March, literally 2 months back, we want to make our workers safe by minimizing their contacts with the end customer while still keeping the lights on, keeping the business running, keeping the households running, because without water, nobody can do anything, right? So that's number one problem. Second problem they talked about is we anticipate some people might fall sick, right? Which means we'll be running on low capacity, especially things such as call center, where we are getting a lot of calls with anxious customers when the issue will be resolved. So how do we make sure that we can manage the capacity? And the third challenge was that we need to do things now, because the fire has already started, right? So we are not building a fireproof house when the fire not started. It is already started. We need to fix it now. So what we did is we took our platform, which is the Smart Video Notes platform, and we gave this platform to the end customers, right? But there are few important bits here which are very critical to make it work. And that all comes under the bucket of frictionless. So like us, we have an app. My insurance company also has an app, right? Home insurance company. I won't take the name. It's a good app, but I need to download the app, create my username, password, remember the password and everything, and for just using one app, right? Which I will use once a year. So I don't want to do that. So to make this frictionless, what we did is make this app loginless and appless, which means anybody can click on a link which will open the camera of your phone in your browser, give all the access to all this beautiful technology, and you don't even have to log in, with the highest security. So that's how we made it frictionless, which eventually resulted in avoiding the visits, unnecessary visits, prioritizing before the dispatch because you can see the video information, and also first time right because you already know what you're getting into. In the interest of time, I think we are running out of time, so I'll just do one more case study and just wrap it up. The second case study is a big power plant in Middle East, and this plant in the middle of nowhere. And the challenge was they had all these focus on health and safety, but their forms and their way to capture the information was very, very archaic, which was paper-based. And there's a safety inspector whose supposed job is to go around the facility, which is a massive facility, and spot incident or health and safety issues. What we did is we took this simple technology and gave it to everybody in the field without any training. So now instead of two pair of eyes looking at all the issues, there are 120 pairs, there are 60 people, so 120 pair of eyes looking at the problems in various nooks and corners. And safety engineer can sit on his desk and get all these video feeds coming in from various parts of the plant and can start going and fixing it. Not only that, it start predicting. So for example, here's a ladder, right? And the ladder is basically work at height, which is one of the biggest incident creator, right? So once you spot the ladder, the machine will already take the next action to remind you to carry the harness. It's a two people job, so on and so forth, right? So that's how we took it from paper all the way to prediction in 10 weeks. The third case study I will actually skip in the interest of time, but this is an excavation safety case study where multi-parties are doing excavation, and keeping everybody safe means same set of information across. So what we did is the first person who makes the video, this information can be percolated to all the people, which is third-party contractors, safety engineer, utility company, consumers, so that they can all see and assess the risk. So I'm just moving a bit quickly, so sorry about that. Just to 30 seconds on this. So what's the future? So what we are doing with all this data? So once we have all this data, as you can see all these videos coming in, we start labeling the data, as I talked about, right? Once we start labeling the data with things such as PPE equipment, deep trench, sharp edges, so on and so forth, we are training the machine to understand these are the hazards. So the goal is to make the machine as smart as, not as smart, but smart enough to spot the issues like humans do. So we are taking the human intelligence at this point, making the video, taking their knowledge, and then training the machine. And the future will be, and hence the future will be, imagine the future where you take this app out, scan your surroundings, and it'll automatically spot all the health and safety issues. Like you see all these circles, right? Machine is automatically spotting it because it's trained to do that. And what that does is it creates a pervasive safety culture. There's a data-driven intelligence coming out of it. And finally, most importantly, you can use all these videos, all this data to train your next generation of workforce. And we are not doing this alone because we have an amazing set of partners and customers who are helping us to do this, who are giving us access to all this information and access to all these field people. So thank you, all the customers and partners, which are at the down at the bottom of the slide. And thank you very much for listening. I'll be open for questions if we have time.
Ashish, thank you very much. That was really interesting. And as somebody who creates a lot of content, often you have to put an expert eye across this stuff to flag up what's important. You have to work with clients and so on to get those, to really understand the important junctions. Now, you started off by, there are questions here, but I've got one for you. You started off with this idea of a culture of proactive response. And I suppose the question is, from the case studies you've already told us about, are you seeing, say, engineers on the ground using video, using images more than they were before, because they can, with a signal, they can upload that stuff and instantly you can start to communicate visually with your office? Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, so first of all, great question. And we cannot take all the credit of it because every time we go and talk to the customers, it turns out that people are already using photos and videos and some kind of multimedia. Why? Because everybody has a smartphone and everybody knows this is the smart thing to do.
Yeah.
What we are doing is taking this data and not losing this data, making it frictionless and making it available at various points of time in the journey of that dig or problem resolution. And then in the back end, using it for further machine learning and human learning. Right? So that's what we are doing, is we are capturing this data systematically. But this has been done by field engineers all throughout as we go and speak to them.
Yeah. There are questions here about moving away from paper. Again, are you seeing, with your clients, are you seeing a big move away from paper as a result of having this thing available to them?
Absolutely. So we have taken down like 50-page forms or 50-point form, which is multiple pages, all the way to completely digital. And that's the direction of travel for everybody because it's environmental friendly, it's accessible information can move very, very quickly. So that's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Every time we have given this technology in the hands of field engineers who might not be highly educated, they are they find it simpler than putting information on paper. Right? So this is fundamentally changing the game.
Everyone has a smartphone with them. The question here, is the smartphone the best device to use in the field?
Great question, right? And it has it has come many times. It has come from in the form of, is it the best device to use? Do you always have connectivity? Yeah. Magnetic rays might create a problem, which operating system, so on and so forth, right? Now, we are taking the smartphone approach today just because we want to make it frictionless. And that's the common theme for me, right? How can we make it so simple that people can use it? But today it's smartphone, tomorrow it can be a drone-based camera or a sensor-based camera, right? Because at the end of the day, we are taking the video feed and doing something with it.
Yeah.
Right? But if smartphone is an obvious choice because everybody has one.
Yeah. And it is time to go, but I'm interested, if somebody sends you a blurry image that's out of focus, it's difficult to work out what that image is, I guess. I mean, how do you bring in expertise from the people on the field? They can also give information across, I guess, so that the team can interpret what the image means.
Okay. So again, a good question. So it's not just a blurry image, because what we are doing is we are doing video, we are doing pictures, we are doing voice, because when people are showing, they're telling about it also. And sometimes the voice might not be clear, right? So of course, we are doing two things around it. Number one, we are using the algorithms to cut down the noise, be it video stream, be it audio stream, right? So that's the technology, and technology has limitations, right? If the voice is too muffled up, you cannot figure out voice with noise kind of thing. But because we are using it as a multimedia way, right? Sometimes when the image is blurred but the voice is clean, we still get a good outcome. because the person is kind of talking about the problem and showing at the same time.
Yeah.
Right? We still get superior outcome just because we are using multimedia data feed.
Yeah, so many sources make it work. Thank you very much, Ashish, for your answers, your presentation, and to everybody, as always, for throwing in your questions. You can still keep doing that. We're about to go into another panel, so keep in touch with us using the Q&A section to our right. I hope you've taken away some really useful tips and guidance and some really nice ideas. Do check out Vin's Hub for more information and put your questions to Ashish and the team right there. Okay. Let's complete episode 2 of Future of Utilities, the online series, with one more fantastic panel. We have about 35 minutes now to understand how technology can enable utilities to make critical decisions rapidly, efficiently, and confidently when it really matters the most. We'll meet our panelists after this very short video.